The story begins in a quiet Russian town where life moved slowly and people rarely expected anything extraordinary to happen. In this town lived a man named Ivan Dmitryich, a modest clerk in a government office. Ivan was not a bad man, nor was he especially good. He lived an ordinary life, followed rules, respected authority, and believed that safety was more important than ambition. He often told himself that taking risks only brought trouble, and that a calm, predictable life was the wisest choice. Ivan earned just enough to survive. His small house was plain, his clothes were old but clean, and his days passed in routine. Every morning he walked the same road to his office, sat at the same desk, and copied documents in careful handwriting. He had dreams once, when he was younger, but over time those dreams had faded. Responsibility, fear, and habit had replaced them. Still, deep inside, a quiet voice sometimes reminded him that life could be more than this. One evening, as Ivan was returning home from work, he met an old acquaintance named Sergey. Sergey had once worked in the same office as Ivan, but years ago he had left the town to seek better opportunities. Now he returned, dressed well and speaking confidently. He told Ivan about his travels, his successes, and the risks he had taken. Ivan listened with mixed feelings. Part of him admired Sergey, while another part felt uneasy and jealous. As they walked together, Sergey spoke of a new opportunity. A merchant in a nearby city was looking for a reliable partner to manage an expanding business. The work would be demanding, but the rewards were great. Sergey explained that he had already invested some money and effort, and he needed someone honest and careful to join him. He believed Ivan was the right person. "You are trusted by everyone," Sergey said. "You are intelligent and disciplined. This chance may never come again." Ivan felt his heart beat faster. The idea of change frightened him, yet it also awakened something long asleep inside him. A better income, respect, and a life beyond dull routine suddenly seemed possible. But fear quickly followed hope. He thought of leaving his secure job, of dealing with uncertainty, and of the possibility of failure. He imagined people laughing at him if he failed, and the shame of returning to his old life with nothing. That night, Ivan could not sleep. He turned from side to side, thinking about Sergey's words. He imagined himself successful, standing proudly among respected men. Then he imagined himself ruined, poor, and mocked. His mind searched for reasons to refuse the offer. He told himself that he was too old to start again, that business was risky, and that government work, though dull, was stable. The next day at the office, Ivan noticed how lifeless his surroundings were. The same dull faces, the same piles of paper, the same meaningless conversations filled the room. For a moment, he felt a strong desire to escape. But as soon as his supervisor walked by, Ivan's courage weakened. Authority reminded him of his place, and fear settled back into his heart. Ivan spoke to his wife about the offer. She listened quietly and then sighed. She was a cautious woman who valued security above all else. She reminded Ivan of their simple but stable life. "We have enough," she said. "Why risk losing what little peace we have?" Her words were gentle, but they strengthened Ivan's fear. He wanted her support, yet her caution gave him an excuse to avoid the decision. Days passed, and Sergey waited for Ivan's answer. Each day, Ivan promised himself he would decide tomorrow. He convinced himself that waiting was wise, that careful thought was necessary. In reality, he was avoiding action. Opportunity stood at his door, but he refused to open it. Finally, Sergey came to see him again. There was urgency in his voice. The merchant could not wait much longer. Ivan felt trapped. His mind was full of excuses, and his heart was heavy. He spoke slowly, choosing safe words. He thanked Sergey for the offer but said he could not accept it. He blamed his family, his job, and his age. Sergey looked at him with disappointment but did not argue. He simply nodded and said, "I hope you will not regret this." After Sergey left, Ivan felt a strange emptiness. At first, he tried to comfort himself. He told himself that he had made the sensible choice, that he had protected his family. Life returned to normal, and his routine continued as before. But something had changed inside him. Months later, Ivan heard news of Sergey's success. The business had grown, and Sergey was now a respected man, financially secure and confident. People spoke of him with admiration. Each time Ivan heard his name, a sharp pain touched his heart. He tried to ignore it, but regret slowly grew stronger. Ivan began to see his life differently. The office felt more suffocating than ever. His routine, once comforting, now seemed like a prison. He realized that nothing had changed because he had been too afraid to change. The opportunity that once frightened him now appeared precious and lost forever. Late at night, Ivan often sat alone, thinking about what might have been. He understood that his greatest mistake was not failure, but fear. He had chosen safety over growth, comfort over courage. In doing so, he had lost something far more valuable than money. He had lost the chance to truly live. This realization filled him with quiet sorrow. He continued his life as before, but with a heavy heart. The lost opportunity remained with him, a silent reminder that chances come only once, and those who do not act when the moment arrives may spend the rest of their lives wondering what could have been. Years passed after Ivan Dmytrich refused Sergei's offer, and life continued to move forward without waiting for him. Outwardly, nothing had changed. Ivan still walked the same road every morning, sat at the same desk, and returned to the same small house each evening. Yet inside him, a quiet struggle had begun. The memory of that lost opportunity followed him like a shadow, growing heavier with time. At first, Ivan tried to silence his regret. He told himself that many people lived ordinary lives and were content. He reminded himself that he had avoided risk and protected his family from uncertainty. But these thoughts brought him little comfort. Instead, they sounded like excuses repeated too many times. Every success he heard about others achieving felt like a reminder of what he had failed to pursue. One day, a new young clerk joined the office. The young man was full of energy and ideas. He spoke openly about his dreams and plans for the future. Ivan watched him with mixed emotions. The enthusiasm of youth both inspired and troubled him. He saw in the young man a reflection of his own younger self, the self that once dreamed boldly before fear slowly took control. The young clerk often asked Ivan for advice. Ivan spoke carefully, almost automatically, repeating the same cautious ideas he had lived by all his life. He warned against risk, praised stability, and advised patience. Yet each word felt false. Deep inside, Ivan knew that his advice came from fear, not wisdom. He began to wonder whether he was helping the young man or slowly guiding him toward the same quiet regret. As time passed, Ivan's health began to weaken. Long hours of sitting and endless paperwork weighed on his body. Small illnesses appeared, and recovery took longer than before. With each passing year, he felt his strength and energy fading. This physical decline forced him to face a painful truth. Time was not endless, and opportunities did not wait forever. One winter evening, Ivan received unexpected news. Sergei had returned to the town, but not as a visitor. He had come to manage new business affairs and planned to stay for some time. Ivan felt a mixture of fear and curiosity. Part of him wanted to avoid Sergei, while another part desperately wanted to see him again. When they finally met, Sergei was calm and kind. He spoke warmly, without pride or judgment. He asked about Ivan's life, his work, and his family. Ivan answered honestly but briefly. As they talked, Ivan could sense the difference between them. Sergei carried confidence shaped by experience, while Ivan carried the quiet weight of unfulfilled potential. During their conversation, Sergei spoke of past struggles. He admitted that his success had not come easily. There were times when he nearly failed, times of loss, fear, and uncertainty. Listening to this, Ivan felt a sharp pain. He realized that even failure would have taught him something valuable. By choosing safety, he had avoided both failure and growth. Sergei did not mention the old offer directly, but the memory hung between them. Before leaving, Sergei said something that stayed with Ivan. He said that life rewards courage more than comfort, and that even mistakes are better than regret. These words echoed in Ivan's mind long after they parted. That night, Ivan could not sleep. He thought about the many small choices he had made over the years, each one shaped by fear. None of them seemed important at the time, yet together they had formed a life of quiet dissatisfaction. He understood that the lost opportunity was not only about business or money. It was about the chance to believe in himself. In the following days, Ivan's behavior began to change slightly. He spoke less at the office and observed more. He noticed how people around him were also trapped by routine and fear. Some accepted it peacefully, while others carried hidden frustration. Ivan realized that his story was not unique, and that many people lived lives shaped by chances they never took. One evening, Ivan took a long walk alone. The cold air cleared his mind. He thought about what remained of his life and whether any opportunity still existed. He knew that he could not return to the past, but he also understood that regret would only grow if he continued to do nothing. Even small changes required courage. Ivan began to make quiet efforts to change his outlook. He started reading books about ideas and people beyond his small town. He allowed himself to imagine different possibilities, not with hope of success, but with acceptance of uncertainty. These small acts did not change his circumstances immediately, but they changed something within him. However, the weight of regret never fully disappeared. Ivan accepted that some losses could not be undone. The lost opportunity remained a lesson carved deeply into his life. It taught him that fear is often more damaging than failure, and that waiting for perfect safety is a form of silent surrender. As Ivan grew older, he shared his story more honestly with others. When young people asked for advice, he no longer spoke only of caution. He spoke of balance, of the need to think carefully but also to act bravely when the moment arrives. He did not present himself as a successful man, but as a warning and a guide. In his final years, Ivan found a quiet form of peace. It was not happiness, but understanding. He accepted that his life was shaped by his choices, and that responsibility belonged to him alone. The lost opportunity no longer haunted him as a source of pain, but as a reminder of a truth learned too late. In the end, Ivan understood that life offers moments that test our courage. When those moments pass, they rarely return in the same form. Some people seize them and grow, others hesitate and remain unchanged. Ivan belonged to the second group, and his story became a silent lesson that courage delayed is often courage denied, and that the greatest loss in life is not failure, but the chance never taken.